Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Yes, it is Larry Sharpe here, about 7:30 on the East Coast. It is Friday before I hope, an interesting weekend for you all. And I wanted to stop by and bring up a couple of things that came up. Some serious, some not so serious, but there were some serious things I wanted to bring up. Something that really does matter and what people don't really understand how important a couple of things are. And then some trivial stuff that I think is kind of fun and interesting. And of course, if you know it's going to be good, then do me a favor. You know what you need to do? Share this into other places so people can see it. And of course, put a comment, click a button. It does matter. It does matter tremendously. And of course, I always ask you, please support my sponsors, the World's Smallest Political Quiz over at theadvocates.org. Please click that link and share that link in other places so that people go there. Take the World's Smallest Political Quiz so you can see where you might stand. And some of you might say, Larry, I would love to be kind of more part of your world, like on perhaps Discord. Well, you can join my Discord. Yes, Larry Sharpe, we do have a Discord. Head over there to bit.ly. You see the link right there. bit.ly, Larry Sharpe Discord. You can join our Discord. That's not a bad idea. Do that. You get to see all our cool stuff and also interact, which is nice also. All those things are great. But I want to start with a little bit of I told you so. And many times you guys think I'm wrong. And you think I'm crazy. Things I say don't make any sense or whatever the case may be. Well, I often tell you that I'm right. Then I show you the receipts. Because you've seen me many times talk right here in front of you, say different things, act certain ways, and some of you think I'm nuts. And then later on, all of a sudden, wow, that Larry Sharpe guy was right. He said the thing, and he was right. It came to pass. And I'm going to talk about several things. I'm going to talk about the value of self-defense in general. Makes sense. A little bit about Elon Musk. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But also something on both guns and abortion that I did tell you was going to happen. And some of you didn't believe me and you were gleeful. But then there was a bit of a backlash. But first, a bit of a lighter side. Some of you may have heard this months ago, about 3 months ago, a little more than 3 months ago. Someone, many of you, not just me, but many of you were out there saying, hey, Elon Musk is going to go buy Twitter and change everything. He's our savior. I didn't say that. I said he wasn't gonna. People thought I was crazy. People thought I was silly. People wanted to bet me. But I was right. Larry, did you actually say that 3 months ago? Well, don't ask me. Ask me. But we didn't get the cool trains, all the panels, all the Bitcoin. Twitter, he's going to walk away from that too. Most entrepreneurs think they can walk in and fix things. Most of them are delusional in that regard. But many things they can't fix. And when they realize they can't just walk in and fix them, they walk away.
Specific ideas how to fix things.
See, everybody was fighting me. I said entrepreneurs come in thinking they can fix things. I know. I do the same thing. My day job is me trying to fix companies and such. That's kind of what I do. Yes. He thought he could walk in. I'm Elon Musk and fix stuff. Yeah. Maybe not.
Also got 80 million plus followers on Twitter. So he uses the platform. He understands the platform. He knows its utility. And he also knows it shouldn't be shut down to dissenting voices.
Lots of people know that, though.
A certain leftist crowd has deemed uncool. You know, that's not the way
Watch
information.
6 months from now. See, I should have said 3 months. There is my error. And actually, later on that day, people who know me, I actually said, I wish I had said 3 months and not 6 months, because 3 months is how long it would have taken for him to back out. And he did. It took him 3 months, not 6.
Okay.
Watch 6 months from now. You'll see. 6 months from now, no change. Yes, you get a cool Tesla car,
what if,
or maybe you get to go on the rocket or something.
What if there is change in 6 months? What do I get? Because it sounds like a bet.
Yeah, it was a bet. I will come back and I will tell you how wrong I was.
And then you will give me what?
I show you that because I was prepared to make that bet publicly right then and there. And guess who was right? I guess that must be me. Yeah, I think I was. A little bit of gloating. I know, a little bit, but that's okay. I do want to walk away from that for a bit. I think it's interesting that I bring this up because I often look at what happens and I think about the future, right? What I think can happen because of it. And I want to go on to something that, as you know, is close to me. And to some of you, not so much. Some of you don't like my stance on some big issues that popped up. But I do want to bring up a couple of things that happened recently that are important. And one of those is guns. I know as soon as the Supreme Court made its rulings on guns, a lot of people said, now we're set. Now it's good. Oh my God, that was awesome. I didn't say that. If you remember, what I said was, yeah, it's the right ruling. I wasn't unhappy with the ruling, right? It wasn't like I was like, no, they're wrong. That's not what I was saying. What I was saying is the outcome in New York is going to be worse. You guys remember me saying that? I literally said that on this show. This is not going to be, they're going to make things. I listed several things that they would do. And I showed you before they would do it, and they have. Right now, after the Supreme Court's ruling in New York State, it's harder to get a gun. This is the piece I talk about when it comes to backlash. And a lot of people get mad at me and they go, Larry, why don't you push for this? Why don't you push for that? Because when you push for this in a New York State culture, an anti-gun culture that New York State is, the backlash is worse. And some of you got so mad at me. No, Larry, you got to push harder. Then things get worse if you push harder without changing the culture. I've been talking about this for 5 years. I'm the guy who doesn't just go upstate New York and talk about guns to people who already love guns. I'm the one who talks about guns even in the city. And I talk about guns even right after a shooting. You've seen me do it multiple times. I never back down, but I don't do it in a mean or nasty way. I don't push. I talk and I explain the value. I walk down that road because we have to get people to think differently about guns and self-defense. If we do that, we will have a better world in general and a better New York. If you just go, we got to go constitutional carry, you get what we got, which now, some of you may not believe this, it's harder to get a gun. It's harder now. And I warned you guys, oh, Larry, you're crazy. You got to go for the big deal. No, you know what now? You've got to give up your social media to get a gun now. They got to look at your social media now. It's harder. I've been saying forever, let's just end the SAFE Act. Let's set it up to be repealed. Let's back off on red flag laws. That's what I've been talking about. Let's get people to realize how these laws hurt people. You've heard me say it before. SAFE Act, red flag laws comes from Democrats. Democrats say they care about black and brown kids. Say it all the time. Now, I show them that their red flag laws and the SAFE Act actually hurts black and brown kids more than anybody else. And they go, wow, you're right. That's what we must be doing. In New York State, which is the battleground state for the entire nation, they have slowly been incrementally making guns less and less legal. They've been banning certain guns. They rarely just take your guns. They ban them slowly and surely. Ban this, ban that, ban this. Then you're a criminal. That's what they can. And they can keep doing it. Now what they did was for safety. Now, in theory, look, I'm playing theory versus practice. Be very clear. Some of you get all triggered when I do theoretical stuff. Don't get triggered. Don't be a snowflake on me. Just because I'm talking theory. In theory, they are talking about training for people to have permits. That's not necessarily, in theory, a bad thing. I like the idea of people having permits. But you and I both know how that's going to be used. That's not going to be used for safety. That's going to be used as a reason to not give you a permit because you couldn't get it, and it has to have live fire, by the way. Live fire training. You can't have live fire training in New York State. Do you know why? Because you can't hold a pistol in New York State until you have a permit. So you're going to have to leave the state to get live fire training in another state before you can come back to New York State and get your permit. So again, in theory, only theory, I get it. Training, not a bad idea. In practice, it just makes it harder and harder. It is literally going to be harder for you to get a gun now in New York State. I know some of you don't believe this. Guns is a cultural issue. We have to change culture. So we got to win, right? And I was like, it's not a big win, and it's not. And you might go, well, Larry, I don't care. I don't live in New York. You think this isn't going to move on and go federal And then come to your state in a couple years from now, they're going to pick a couple pieces of these and go, oh, I like this idea where I can go back and get access to your social media for 3 years. And here's the worst part. What if you forget to give them one of your social media pieces? Or don't give them one. You give them, Facebook, but you don't give them Instagram. You just lied on a government form. You think I'm joking? When they want to put you away or give you a misdemeanor or take your guns away, they will say you lied in the government form. No, I just forgot to put my Instagram. Oh, no. The form says any and all social media platforms. You didn't put Instagram. That's fraud. You defrauded the government. I'm not joking. You know I'm telling the truth. And they won't care until they target you. When they decide that Joel is just talking too much, or we don't like him, or Danny's in trouble, we don't like her, okay, let's get after him. Now let's start adding things. And all of a sudden, I got 14 charges against you. 15. Then what are you going to do? You're going to plea bargain and go to jail for a short period of time and lose your firearms. Because that's what they all do. And you are too. I know people were happy with the ruling. But if we don't change culture, it doesn't matter. Now, what do I mean by that? What's my example of that? They're just adding more gun laws. And you might think, well, Larry, it's because safety, because gun laws work. Well, if any of you are paying attention, something very odd just happened in Japan. Their former prime minister was shot to death. He was assassinated. Yeah, shot to death. In Japan. Let me say it again. He was shot to death. Assassinated with a gun in Japan. It's for them. Some of you may not know, Japan has some of the strictest gun laws in the world. In Japan, you have to register every bullet. I'm not joking. You can do your own homework and think I'm crazy. I live in Japan. I'm telling you, you have to re-register your permit and every gun you have every 2 years. You redo everything. Your local community has a say if you may have a gun. That's correct. Your local community decides if you get to have a gun in Japan. And you must register every bullet. So that where'd you fire it? Where is it? You must account for every bullet. That is how much they restrict guns in Japan. There is no right to self-defense, no right to do any of that stuff in Japan. Not how it works. You don't get that. They don't have that right. They had a thing many years ago, if I'm not mistaken, around the late 1500s, called the Taisho sword hunt. Some of you will check it out. They literally went house to house to grab swords because they said only the samurai, only the elite can have swords. They literally went to grab swords. So you couldn't have one. Why do you think so many East Asian nations learned martial arts without weapons? Because their governments took all their weapons away. That's why they learned all the martial arts that were without weapons, or with sticks and things that they could use in the farmland. That's why they learned those things, because the government took their weapons away. Yet in that culture, that guy made a gun. It was a handmade gun, and he shot the prime minister to death. Do you still think gun laws work? Right? They go house to house taking weapons. That's Japan. They will go house to house taking your weapons. Register every bullet. Prime minister got shot. Well, former prime minister. Politician got shot to death. Homemade gun. That's a ghost gun. Here's what I can promise you. In Japan, ghost guns are illegal. In fact, every gun is basically illegal. They have laws. I'm not joking. They have sword control laws in Japan. I'm not, again, if you think I'm making it up, check it out. They have common sense sword control in Japan. That's actually a thing. They still have it. This is something that we haven't learned. It is a cultural change that we have to have in our nation. You might go, Larry, but you and your damn guns. Well, let me go to a spot that's more important than all of this in reality. Something that really matters. Another thing happened recently in New York. But let me go Many of you have watched videos in New York, particularly New York City. In New York City, you've watched videos of people on a subway or on the street being hurt or beaten or something like that, right? And you see that nobody does anything. They just watch. They do nothing. You might think, wow, that's these evil New York people who were bad people and they hate you or something. No, that's not what it is. New York City people don't do anything, not because they're afraid of the bad guy. They're afraid of the state. They're afraid of the city. They're afraid of the cops. I'm not joking. They're afraid of getting sued. They're afraid of the court system. They're afraid of lawyers. I'm not joking. They don't want to step in because they're worried that once they step in, if anything goes bad, they're going to get sued. They're going to get arrested. Their life is over. That's what they believe. Do you know why they believe that? Because it's true. That's the reason. How do I know that? Some of you probably saw the video in the Bronx, here in New York City. Guy goes in to a bodega. Those who know what a bodega is, basically like a deli. It's very similar to a deli, right? Little difference. It's usually more ethnic to the area that they're in. Often run by immigrants, not always, but often immigrants. Usually, their immigrants are often Hispanic or Middle Eastern. Common, but not always. But it's very common there. Sometimes Indians will run it. Depends upon where they're from. But usually, immigrants run bodegas. Not always, but it's usually ethnic for the area that you're in, right? Whether you're in Harlem or whether you're in the Bronx, Brooklyn, it tends to be ethnic. But anyway, so guy goes in. Woman goes in. Her card doesn't work. The guy who's working it takes the goodies back, says, sorry, can't have it. She gets mad, goes to tell her boyfriend, how dare him take this away from me. The boyfriend comes in, goes behind the counter, grabs the guy, throws him around, physically throws him around. Big guy, huge guy. He's like in his 30s. The guy is around 61 years old, throwing him around. Doesn't know if he's being attacked. Doesn't know what's going to happen. As the guys pick him and throw him around, he grabs a knife. The 61-year-old clerk grabs a knife, stabs his attacker. His attacker falls to the ground, bleeding. Cops come by. They grab the guy. They grab the assailant. They grab the guy who came in, not the clerk. He dies. The cops come back and arrest the bodega worker. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't my opinion. Literally on video. Not my view, not my opinion. What happened is on video. And the girlfriend part, she admitted. No one fights this, right? She admitted no one fights it. So that is what happened, right? There's no one saying it's not what happened. So she comes in, she's pissed off. She tells her boyfriend to take care of it. He comes down, physically grabs a 61-year-old man, he's in his 30s, throws him around, threatens him, pushing him, hitting him. God knows what's going to happen. Takes a knife, stabs him. He goes to jail. He spent the night in Rikers Island. He had a $250,000 bail. Charged with second-degree murder. I want to be clear. Charged with second-degree murder. And you might say, well, Larry, that's just crazy. That's just crazy, New York City. No. That's New York State. It is crazy New York City, too. It's New York State. They might say, but that's okay, Larry, because, it's self-defense. Here's how, and somebody said, well, we have castle doctrine. That's not how it works in New York State. In New York State, two things. Number one, you must retreat in New York State if you can. You must. That's New York State law. So someone breaks into my house and is stealing my stuff. I have to run away and call the cops. If I don't, I'm the bad guy. Let me say it again. I have to run away. They're in my house. If I don't, I'm the bad guy. The only way I'm able to use force legally in New York State is if I can't go anyplace else. Like I guess my doors are locked or something. He traps me in my bedroom or something. Then I can fight back. Otherwise, I must leave. And if you don't live in New York State, you must think, Larry, that's insane. That can't be true. I'm saying it publicly. Show me I'm wrong. That is absolutely true. 100% true. That's how it works in New York State. You go, wait a minute, Larry, that's fine, because then what if you did, the guy was coming at you and you stabbed him, or you shot him or whatever, if somebody had a legal gun, right? Whatever, you'd be fine in self-defense. Now, how it works in New York State, you have to ask. I'm not joking. You must ask your judge if you can use a defense of self-defense. I'm not making this up. The judge can say no, in which case you may not say self-defense. You must defend against murder. Who has money to do that? Who has a lawyer who can drop 6 figures to make that happen? I'm not done. Let's assume you say it's self-defense and the judge agrees. Yeah, self-defense. Guess what? You have to prove that it was self-defense. So in theory, you're guilty unless you can prove yourself innocent in self-defense. That's how New York State works. Not the reverse. Now, in theory, you would think, well, if the judge says it's I can plead self-defense. Well, then now, isn't it now the prosecutor's job to prove, right, that it wasn't self-defense? No. I'm now assumed guilty. I'm admitting that I killed the person, is how they see it in New York State. I now have to prove. The accused has to prove that it was self-defense. That's how New York State works. You might say to yourself, Larry, that's bad, but is that really important? It is. Because what it's actually saying is you don't have a right to your life or yourself in this state. That's what it says. Now, it's been that way for a long time, and this isn't a new thing in New York. It's just getting worse. It's just getting worse. But the worst part is now everybody knows it, particularly with social media and how close we are. Everybody knows it. Since everybody knows it, no one gets involved. So now, when the young woman is on the subway and some thug decides to start beating her, no one does anything because they know if they step in and fight that guy, they're going to jail. That's what they know. If they stop that thug from beating that woman, they're going to jail. That's New York State. So now the weak are punished more because of our horrible system. That's how it works. What if, and this happens, what happens when some guy's beating his kid or abducting somebody, abducting a kid? What do? Nothing. Because if we're wrong, we get sued into oblivion and we get arrested and we go to jail. I want to be clear. That 61-year-old man who was working a job, making money, serving his community, went to Rikers Island. And for those you don't know, Rikers Island is the most violent jail in the country. Defending himself, his reward was the most violent jail in the country. And I would ask you, where was the mayor? The mayor was as wishy-washy as could be. Wishy-washy as could be. Well, you know, it seems, it could be, whatever. Where's the governor? Nowhere. Nowhere. The appropriate response in this case is, as a governor, I step in and say, that man is pardoned. I pardoned him. DA, you will have him out of jail in 6 hours. If he's not out of jail in 6 hours, you will be joining him. Done. That's the answer. That is the answer. He's pardoned. I want him out of jail and back home in 6 hours. If he isn't out of jail in 6 hours, DA, you will be joining him in jail. Done. That's how you deal with that issue. And you move on. It takes 3 minutes. What does that tell everyone there? That it's okay to defend yourself. That it's okay to defend yourself. This is literally. So now I have to go one step further with this. We'll have to keep going with this. New York City's struggling. New York State is struggling. If we want people to stay in this state, if we want people to want to grow their business here, we want people to grow their family here, if we want people to stay here and live their life here, they kind of have to feel safe, don't they? Don't they? If you want to come here, and I want you to come here as a tourist, I want you to come here. I want you to go see Yankee games. I want you to go to Broadway. I want you to go see all the cool things. I want you to go skiing upstate. I want you to go to the Grand Canyon. I want you to go to Niagara Falls. I want to go to our beautiful Finger Lakes. I want you to go everywhere. I want you to come here and spend your money. I would love you to do that. Why would you if you think you're going to be stabbed to death? If you're not safe, why would you? I always say three things matter in New York State. Three things: affordability, safety, and opportunity. And we go out of our way to achieve none of that. And we wonder why people keep leaving. And we wonder why people keep leaving and why people won't come back to our awesome city. Because our city is amazing. Our city government is garbage. Our state is amazing. And our state government is garbage. Now, I know what some of you are saying. But Larry, now that people see this, they'll change the laws. No, they won't. That's my entire point. The laws don't matter if the culture doesn't change. It must be a cultural change. It must be someone at the top saying, this has to be different. Stop this. Don't do this. This is the problem. And they aren't actually doing it. Instead, I got a mayor who's wishy-washy, and I got a governor who's walking away saying, I'm going to make it hard to get guns. That'll solve it. The guy didn't come in with a gun. And Japan got the strictest gun laws in the planet, and their former prime minister gets shot. This is insane. But that's what we're dealing with here in the state. But I got to go one step further. This is cultural. Why you see me so often not talking about, adding laws and such, right? Because they don't work. I want to change things and make a better environment. That's the issue. Again, little I told you so, little New York State. The abortion ruling. Everybody was like, wow, we're winning. I was actually on a radio show. For those of you may or may not know, Austin Peterson, who ran for president in 2016 and then ran for Senate in 2018 in Missouri. So a friend of mine, I was on his radio show. And he was saying, Larry, shouldn't we be happy and keep going because of all these victories we're having? And I said, I don't think you're having victories. And people think I'm nuts. Just like the Elon Musk thing that I was nuts. What are you talking about, Larry? I'm like, these aren't victories. Because they're rulings from a court to when the nation hasn't changed its culture yet. Guns is a cultural issue. And so is abortion. I know some of you don't like that. I'm just telling you the truth. It's a cultural issue. Some people have been savvy and have been saying things like, we need to have a culture of life. That makes sense. That's smart. Love that. And some are now becoming all-encompassing. That's the movement that's working, and that movement does turn people. When you talk about an actual culture of life, when you talk about doing things that make things better, easier, safer for women, and you say how you're anti-abortion, people actually hear you. But when you say, I'm taking your rights away, people get upset. And the culture turns on you. And it is already. It is already. The sad part about New York State, and again, you may not care about New York if you don't live in New York, but you should, because it's coming to you. I keep telling you this, and it's going to happen. It comes to you, and it goes to the federal government. And I told you already, that when my governor starts pushing stuff on abortions, watch the federal government follow. And she did. And what happened today? Joe Biden signed executive orders to keep abortion safe throughout the country. Yeah, to keep abortion safe throughout the country. If you remember, it used to be, I remember when I was coming up, I remember it was abortion should be, safe, legal, and rare. Safe, legal, rare. That's not a bad, I like the rare part. Let's focus on the rare part. Let's do that. Okay, I'm in. Let's focus on that part. That part's gone. Now it's safe, legal, accessible. I warned you that if this happens, that people are going to go away from being pro-choice and they're going to become pro-abortion. And you see it. And I told you people are going to see people as not being pro-life, but being anti-woman. Did you hear what Biden had to say today? Yeah, as he signed his thing. Oh, the women got to come out and vote. Republicans are against women. Have you seen all of the rhetoric coming out now? Republicans are against women, anti-woman. All the stuff I talked about happening right now. Happening right now. This is not a win. We still have the culture to deal with. And I know some people get upset because they say, Larry, I want you to fight the right. I want you to fight the left. I want you to fight the libs. I want you to fight the Trump. I don't want to fight anybody. You're all Americans. I want you all on my side. What I want is a culture of respect. Literally, it's on the show. Mutual respect. That's what I want. Mutual respect. If we do that, we can communicate and change things. Understand how some people would like guns and defend themselves and some people wouldn't. I tell this story often because I think this is an important story so you understand how I think and what I think will work in this world. I used to be a teacher years ago. And one of the teachers that I was working with, she was adamantly a pacifist. I mean, hardcore pacifist. Hated guns, thought guns were terrible, total pacifist. And she's telling us about how, it's terrible. Nobody should have a gun. Blah, 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 blah. So, okay. Are you saying that you're against everybody having guns? She goes, oh, no, I wouldn't stop you, but guns are bad. I never. And of course, one of the teachers in the room says what you would imagine. Well, what if you got raped? Then what? What if you were being raped? Of course he says that because that was going to happen. And she was very forward. She goes, still, I wouldn't kill a man. Doesn't matter. I wouldn't do it. Even if I was being raped. I would talk my way out of it. And I was like, wow. Really? She's like, yes. She goes, I've been in that situation before, and I did talk my way out of it. But even if I couldn't, this is her words to me, to us. There were a couple people in the room. I'd rather be raped than kill somebody. And I was like, okay. So my response to her was, okay, but would you stop another woman from not making a decision and instead deciding to shoot that person or kill that person or stab that person or whatever? She said, no, I wouldn't stop her. It's her right. She said that, but I would never do it. And I said, then we're good. Then we're good. And you might go, what do you mean? Because she wasn't about stopping someone else. She believed that pacifism was the only answer. I don't believe that, but that's fine. She believed that, but she wouldn't stop you from defending yourself. I'm okay with that. I respect her view. She should live her values. She should live the way she feels appropriate, and she should let others live as they feel appropriate. And if more people thought that way, that is the culture that we need. That's the culture we need. And we only get that with the liberty movement. That's the only place we get that. Dems say we're right. Republicans say we're right. Libertarians say, it's all good, just leave me alone. It's all good. You do you. This is how we fix this. It's why I keep talking. It's why I keep coming on. It's why I keep doing I told you so. It's why I keep doing I told you so. I'll give you the last piece that people keep pushing on me. Well, Larry, we need more laws. We need more rules. I hear all the time, we need federal legislation. I hear that phrase all the time. Federal legislation, all the time. What federal legislation can you see that can stop people from being bad? And why is that the answer? The best defense against people doing bad things, insert whatever you think is bad, is them choosing to not do it. That's the best defense. So if you have an environment to where people don't want to do the bad thing, then they won't do it. I use this thought process in everything. I am anti-abortion. I wish people wouldn't have abortions. So what do? Ban it. Doesn't work. We know this doesn't work. What can work? Creating an environment to where women feel more supported, to where women have more options, to where they choose to not have abortions. Done. Here's the funny part. If women choose to not have abortions, there'll be no abortions. Done deal. That literally is the best way of doing it. We can go back to that safe, legal, and rare part. I like the rare part of that. Let's go back to that. Guns, the same thing. Guns, the same thing. We have to make an environment to where people don't want to do the bad thing. And let me ask you a question here. If that thug came into that bodega because his girlfriend told him to, do it, whatever, and he thought that guy had a gun or a knife, would he have gone behind? He wouldn't have. He wouldn't have. We would have created an environment to where he chose not to do that. We are now creating an environment where people are choosing to not help each other. We are creating an environment to where people are choosing to not help each other because the environment punishes the helper. So how about we change that? And we could have done something with the governor stepping in and literally saying, not fighting, not saying who's right or who's wrong, not picking a side, simply saying, bodega guy who got attacked and defended yourself, you are pardoned. Telling the DA, you would have him out of jail within 6 hours. If he's not out of jail in 6 hours, you will be joining him. Done. And you can go about your business. That creates the environment saying, oh, it is okay to defend yourself. Now does thug think I should go behind the bodega? No, because I just made a bunch of bodega people a whole lot braver. Because they can start stabbing people who come behind the desk, and you shouldn't come behind the desk. Now, I know what my mayor said. Well, he did something inappropriate. No, he threatened him. And here's the biggest piece I want people to realize. Well, Larry, it doesn't matter. You're wrong, Larry. And people will tell me this. Larry, you're wrong. What he did, he didn't deserve to die. He did not deserve to die. I agree, to be forward. Does that guy deserve to die? No. No, not for that. I mean, maybe he's done bad things. I don't know the guy. So maybe he's done other things to deserve to die. Perhaps. I don't know the guy at all. Maybe he was a saint besides that. I doubt it because saints don't do stuff like that. But whatever. I don't know him. Who knows? Did he deserve it for that? No. He did not deserve death. But did that 61-year-old man deserve to be traumatized? Because whether that guy just beat the hell out of that guy, or just roughed him up, or put him in the hospital, or killed him, how would he know? What did that 61-year-old man deserve? He didn't deserve to be treated that way. His life is over now already because of what that guy did. That guy wrecked his life. Well, Larry's we just roughing some guy up. People get roughed up. No. When a big guy comes to beat you up, that traumatizes you in your job. That's how this guy makes his living, pays his bills, and pays for his family with that job at the bodega. Well, what if he can't go anymore? What if he can't do it anymore? What if he's afraid those guys, his buddies, are thinking about getting him back for killing him? So now he can't go back there anymore? You have a cop sitting in the bodega all day? So no, that guy didn't deserve, I'm going to use that word, didn't deserve to die. Didn't. But is the guy who stabbed him guilty? No. But Larry, that guy, that bodega guy killed that man. No. That guy's girlfriend killed him. Let me be very clear. That guy's girlfriend killed him. She could have just shut her mouth, gone and got her cash, and bought the things she wanted to buy. She could have done that. That was her choice. She said, boyfriend, you better go take care of that man. He disrespected me. Great, you got your boyfriend killed. You could have just went and got your cash and bought your sandwich or whatever you were buying, your snack. You could have just bought your snack. You didn't. You had to go with your boyfriend to go be tough guy. And that tough guy got killed. Nobody deserved that. What should have happened is she should have went home, got some cash, bought her snack, and then gone upstairs and watched some Netflix and complained about him with a boyfriend for a while they're watching TV. That's what they should have done, or whatever they're watching. Do people watch TV anymore? Whatever. Watch my show. She didn't. This is a problem. But I got to go further on this, even deeper. We're creating an environment to where the answer is violence. We're creating an environment to where the answer is violence. Whether that is some guy in Japan shooting his prime minister. Think of all the work that guy had to go through to do that. In Japan, to do that. Whether that's some guy in Buffalo deciding the right answer is shooting a bunch of people in a store. Whether that's some woman who decides the right answer is sending her boyfriend into a bodega to beat a guy up. We aren't hearing each other. We aren't talking to each other. And it's all because of fear. Our environment is garbage. And because our environment is garbage, things just keep getting worse. And I would ask you, any of you who consider yourselves Democrats or Republicans, is any Democrat or any Republican in any way trying to actually make a better social environment or fix our actual culture? They're not. They're doubling down and calling the other worse or bad or terrible just to ensure that you don't talk to them. Just to ensure the only answer is fight and violence and vote. Vote against them, vote against them, to the point where you believe that's your only answer. Well, let me ask you, what happens when your vote doesn't work? When they tell you your answers to vote and you can't talk to anybody and your vote doesn't work. If you're a Democrat, you've been voting Democrat for years. How's that working with gun control now, with the guns, with the Supreme Court and the abortion? Not so good, huh? If you're a Republican, you've been voting Republicans for years. How's that working? Particularly in New York State. Not so good, huh? No. So what happens? You turn to violence. Turn to violence. And you just want to put everybody in jail. And here's the worst part. All the system can do, remember something, governments do 4 things well, and that's it. And that's what they always do. And the government's the system. 1, kill people. Government's good at that. Blowing people up, bombing people overseas, great at that. And killing people here too. Good at killing people. 2, imprisoning people. Oh my God, are we good at that? We're so good at imprisoning people. Absolutely. Next, creating bureaucracy. Making things harder for the weak. Harder for the weak. I was talking about this today. Talking about how we get banking, business, airplanes. All the bad guys leave and change something else. Meanwhile, the bad regulations staying for the good guys. The small guys get hammered, right? Doing that. And lastly, writing checks. Boy, we just write checks. We print that money. There's no tomorrow. Which of those 4 things makes a better cultural environment? Hint, none of them. None of them. The state will always fall back to violence. And a good example I can give you, some of you get mad, but I don't care. I'm telling you the truth here tonight. January 6th. Now, whether you think Trump did it or didn't do it or whatever you think about Trump, whatever is your view on that, I have a more important question. Why in the world are the individual people who went there in jail? Either you think Trump did the bad thing or you think he didn't. In either case, the people who went there thought the president told them to go do it. Clearly, they believe that. They're not even fighting that. Nobody is fighting that. They're all saying, I thought the president told me to go do it. Why are they in jail? Why? Because the weak and the poor and the middle class and the average Joe is swallowed by the system. That's why. They got swallowed by the system. If you think Trump's the bad guy, then have him go to court and have him do. He's elite. They can fight elite on elite crime. I'm fine with that. They can fight each other. Go to court and they both spend millions of dollars on lawyers and they can fight in court. Good. Do that. Do that. And if he's guilty, he's guilty. If he's not, he's not. I don't care. Whatever. Do what you got to do. The elite can fight each other. I have no problem with that. But why are average people in jail? Why is the bodega guy? Now he's out. They got him out of jail. But why was he in jail? Why did we just arrest and that's it? Why do we just arrest first and worry about everything else later? And then why does almost every executive wait till the end of their term to pardon people? Why aren't we using the pardon as a way of showing what's right and what's wrong? Why aren't we doing that? We don't. Executives are afraid. I'm not afraid of this. It's important. I yapped away today because things are bugging me. I'm going to grab some of your comments if I can. As always, guys, thank you so much. Please, I will get your comments right now. Please do comment, obviously. Share if you think it was valuable or important. Please share it, absolutely. And, of course, like it, too, if you want to. If you want to support me, LarrySharpe.com/donate. Every bit counts. Please help me out if you can. And, of course, if you like getting shirts, cool shirts like this one right here. Pick it up here if you want to. LarrySharpe.com/sharp. Shop if you want to, please. And of course, join my Discord. Love to have you on my Discord, Larry Sharpe Discord. Please do that. Finally, if you want to help me out, my sponsor, World's Smallest Political Quiz, this link right here. Share this in other areas, and you will see how valuable this is. Let me grab a couple of these if I can. Let's see here. Grab a couple of these comments if I can. So many. Thank you. I appreciate all of these. Yes. I think shoes will come up. Yes, Tom, it is true. Kennedy bet me a pair of shoes that Elon Musk would buy Twitter, and I said he wouldn't. So I think I won that bet, but I'm okay. I just want her to bring me on the show again. That's all. Yes, that's all. That's all good. Andrew says, Juan Williams is a freaking idiot. My late grandmother called him Whiny Juan. Yeah, but he's making some bank coming up on Fox every once in a while. So I guess not bad for him. So, yes. James says, what was supposed to be the impact of Elon Musk buying Twitter? There was a massive wave of people either saying they'll leave Twitter or join back in. He was supposed to fix it because he's magical. Look, I'm not mad at people for thinking that Elon Musk was going to fix Twitter. Look, a lot of us want to believe that one person can save the world. I want to believe it too, right? Of course we do. The reality of it is people who can make change, I think that's possible, but not one person can save the world. A bunch of people have to save the world. Usually it's a small group, but a bunch of people do. Building out teams and making things happen, yes. Dave says, I was actually shocked that he walked away because it was an on-again, off-again thing. And this is the thing that's amazing about Elon Musk is what I'm going to say, I actually mean this as a compliment. I mean it as a compliment. He's the Kim Kardashian of the tech world. What I mean by that. Kim Kardashian, whether you like her or not, whatever your feeling of Kim Kardashian is, has a very special talent. What talent am I talking about? Her ability to stay relevant in media. Like, people talk about her all the time, right? Whether she's getting married or having a kid or going on at this or breaking the internet or whatever. She's like, people follow her. She becomes relevant. That's an amazing talent that a whole lot of people who are popular wish they had. Elon Musk has that talent in the tech world. He always seems to be important or doing something or saying something or whatever. This was that again. That's what that was. That's what I said it was then, and I stand by. That's what it was. Which again, it's a talent. Good for him. Absolutely. So yes. So let's see here. Andrew says, hey man, sorry I missed your earlier streams this week. That's okay. I find it absolutely crazy that the court, they would ask new registrants to share their social media profiles to even get a permit. That's it. Yes. Thank you, Andrew. But here's the problem that I have with this, Andrew. The more they ask for, and this already happens already in New York City. For those of you who don't know, what they actually do in New York City, if you want a permit, is they ask you to like list every time you've been, you interact with the cops in any way, shape, or form. If you forget a parking ticket, if you forget a speeding ticket, if you don't list it, they go, he lied in the form. They don't give you a gun. I'm not joking. That's a real thing in New York City. The more things they add, the more things they can get you on. That's why they add so much. And they won't say you forgot to put your Instagram account. They will say you tried to defraud the state. You lied on a government form. That's what they will say so they can tell you no. This is why they do it. I know it sounds hard, but it's true. Frankie says, God, New York needs you, man. I would agree. I think you're totally correct. Yes. All right, let's see if I can do here. Brandon says, it is actually harder to get a gun in New York now. It is. You're right, Brandon. This would have made it better, but now it's actually harder. Yes. In Canada, it was more illegal weed stores before weed was legal. Now that it's legal, the legal stores are worse than the illegal ones. Yes. Thank you, Brandon. Exactly. Just passing a law isn't enough. Culture has to change. Yes, 100%. James says, Larry should create his own social media site. It's called The Sharpe Way. I'm guessing it'll be called Sharpe because I actually gain knowledge and unique points of view compared to others. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. Dave says, Elizabeth Warren wants to shut down women's health clinics that refuse to perform abortions. And here's the piece, Dave. You've hit a very valid point. Thank you for this. I told you the federal government will step in some way. They will. The federal government is going to do things like say, well, if you get federal funds, or you must file federal guidelines, or they'll use the FDA, or they'll use some other organization to attack health clinics that will stop performing abortions. Correct. The government will find a way. The federal government will step in and find a way to punish people to not do it. Now, some are going to say, I don't care because their principles are too high, and they'll take the fight. And the states will fight, and there will be lawsuits. This is not over. This is not going to go well. And the worst part is this will actually be won in the culture wars. This will. If Americans buy, if they believe the anti-woman side, abortions is going to explode throughout America if they believe that. And I don't know what they're going to believe. I don't know. You make up with the law. If the people believe it, that's what's going to happen. You can see it. Because what Elizabeth Warren cares about is getting reelected. That's what she cares about. Joe says, Larry always is the best solutions. I agree. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Danny says, no man in training. Yes. I was talking in theory, obviously, right? Like, they're going to use it for the wrong reason. I mean, I like training. I think everyone should be trained. I do. I think it's a good idea, but you know what that's going to happen. Yes. Joel says, my friend has an ammo sale going on now. Buy now before September 1. Yes. A lot of the stuff is kicking in September. So yes, absolutely. You were going to see without question how things change. And then it's going to be a black market, Joel. He's still going to have an ammo sale. You and I both know that. But it's just not going to be official. Because that already happened with the SAFE Act. The SAFE Act created a black market in ammunition, created a black market in accessories, because people still wanted what they wanted. Now it's a black market for it. Absolutely. Yes. So, all right. Let's see here. So many of these. Joe continues, background checks and creating a statewide license and image network. Yeah, this is the next thing they're doing, which this is another issue you're going to find, right? New York State now, again, why it's harder. What it used to happen, if you wanted to buy a firearm in New York State, you'd go through the national database, right? So the federal and national database, which is not a bad database, but you could have had local arrests and such, which would not show up on the national database. So now, Kathy Hochul says, no. Now you still do the same background check, but now the state does the background check. The problem with New York State is there's not one single database. I think there still is. There has been for a while. I don't think there's still one single database for all of New York State. What does that mean? They have to go county by county. How long is that going to take? New York City has one database, but some of the counties upstate, they're not part of a database. At least they weren't. I don't know if they are now, but they weren't. Which means now you have to go state by state. Just more time. More time. Sorry, I can't give you a license yet. They haven't reported your whether or not you've been arrested and convicted in Hamilton County, right? The guy or gal who goes to Hamilton County shows up on every third Tuesday, so you got to wait next month until she shows up and see if she can go there and find your documents, see if you've been arrested or not. I'm not joking. That's why they do it. So now it's becoming statewide, and they will create a database. You're correct, 100%. Yes, 100%. John says the policy of irrelevance is what will be an important first step in changing the culture. Yeah, that's the point, right? I think you've hit it there. You want policies that show respect to everybody. When it's what Bill Maher said, and I never forget when he said it. He was just so on the money. I wish he practiced more of what he preached, right? Bill Maher is clearly a Democrat. However, he does have a libertarian streak, and I want to give him credit when he does something libertarian, which it pops up every once in a while. He becomes libertarian every once in a while. So I want to give him credit for it. And he said something that made a lot of sense. He was with other Democrats talking on the show, and they're screaming about how these dumb Republicans keep voting against their best interest. The Democrats have all the right answers. What's wrong with them, right? Saying this. And of course, the Democrats, they believe that. I don't fault them for it. The Democrats, they believe. Oh, good. So Bill Maher says, it's because they hate you. And they were shocked when he said it. It's like, no, because they hate you. If they hate you, they're not going to vote for you. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. And the second part to that is, why do they hate you? Because they think you hate them. That's the reason. They think you hate them. And this, by the way, is worse from the left and the right. The left is far more openly dismissive and hateful than the right is. I know you should get mad at me for saying, but it's you see it happen all the time. And that wasn't true years ago. That was the reverse years ago. Like when I was younger, like the religious right of the 80s, I mean, there was it was censoring speech, and you had to think a certain way, or you weren't part of us. That was a thing back then. It's reversed. Now the left is that way. Oh, you got to think the same way, say the right words, or we don't like you anymore. You got to get out. That's why Bill Maher is fighting them all the time, because he hates it too. So it's absolutely true. Yes. All right. Let's see here. Paula says, Larry, you are right. This is going to, like the war, I guess, war on drugs, mostly hurt black, brown, and poor people. It is going to hurt the people who cannot afford the lawyers, fines, and fees. 100% yes. That what you hear me keep saying, and I understand that many people who are Democrats or on the left want the rich to pay their fair share. I get that. I get the emotion behind it. I feel it completely. It feels unfair. It feels wrong. I get that. Again, not mad at you for it. I can understand the emotion. I understand the feeling. It feels wrong. It's bad, right? Why aren't the wealthy people paying the money? Because they've got all the money. I get it. Here is my issue. The wealthy always get what they want. That's not America. That's the world. It's worse in other countries. The wealthy get what they want. If they want drugs, they get drugs. I remember this, right? Some of you, if you've been in this world, you'll know what I'm talking about. The United States still does, but in the past, even more, spends a lot of time helping and training officers from foreign militaries, right? When I was in the Marine Corps Intelligence School, we had officers from Jordan, Saudi Arabia in my classes that we were learning in intelligence school. And when we were there, it's in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, where it is. For those of you who may or may not know that, we would have officers from other countries. And these officers, some of them were from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, very strict Muslim country. But to be an officer in the Saudi Arabian military, almost always you are somehow related to the royal family. There's some exceptions, obviously, but most of the higher ranking officers are somehow related to the royal family, the Saudi family. That's a common thing in their country. Well, there's supposedly strict Muslims, no drinking, no drugs, nothing. These officers would be with us smoking weed, doing drugs, they would rent sports cars for like $500 a day back in the 90s, $500 a day in the 90s. That's a lot of money. They'd rent like a Lamborghini and drive it around. Women of the evening, again, hey, sex workers work, no worries. But according to how they're supposed to live, if you ask them, all these things are bad and immoral, yet they were doing all of them when they were over here. Why? Because they're wealthy, Paula. And the wealthy get what they want. That's how it works. All I'm saying is, let's set up a system to where the wealthy start paying to keep us non-wealthy people doing some good stuff, getting some good stuff too. Let's share the wealth voluntarily. We can do this. All my systems that I ever talk about, all my policies get the wealthy to pay the non-wealthy so they can get good stuff too. I don't want to try to bring the wealthy down. That's probably not going to work because they're wealthy. I want to make sure the wealthy bring all of us up. We can do that with the right environment, which is what I keep talking about. So, yes, thank you for that. Ian says, it's why they attack on so many fronts. When you add up all those small pieces, red flag, ammo limits, penalizing vets that use marijuana, this overreaching government run by power-hungry lying psychopaths, they condition each generation to accept less freedom. And soon enough, it all dies with a whimper and a bang. Ian, I cannot stress how right you are. You are right on, and that's my point. I know some of you get mad. Larry, why do you want to be incremental sometimes? Because that's how they got us. Ian's right. They're not walking in going, give me all your guns. They're not doing that. They're just slowly making everything illegal, right? Before you know it, everything that you have is illegal. Oh my God. And then once you open your mouth, Ian, if you don't say anything, if you shut up, do what you're told, don't make any waves, they don't target you, and you can keep your illegal stuff, and life goes on. But open up your mouth one day. Say something you shouldn't say. Don't support the rule that they just put in. Oh, Ian, look at all this illegal stuff you got. You're a criminal. Exactly right. They incrementally until they can take everything. 100% correct. Absolutely. And something else, if you notice when it comes to guns, when they when they find someone who's doing the bad thing, whatever the bad thing is, and they find that he has firearms, they never say, for example, you are you have firearms. Say you're not a massive collector, not like that. You have 2 pistols. You're my age Marine Corps, so you like, say, a 9mm Beretta, and you like a 1911. I love 1911. It's probably my favorite firearm. That's what I came up in the Marine Corps, 1911. So that's, you have two pistols. Those you don't know, those 2 pistols, the 9mm Beretta and the 1911 are not revolvers. They are semi-automatic pistols, for those you don't know that. So you have those two guns that you could have. And you got 1,000 rounds each. 1,000 rounds of 45, 1,000 rounds of 9. That's all you got. That's what you got. You got it in a safe somewhere. That's all you got. Now, for someone who's a collector, that's nothing. For someone who's a collector, that's high school, right? That's nothing. But let them come in and see your home and then seize it. What will they say? We had 2. So they will say, that guy Ian, he had a cache of semi-automatic weapons. That's what the media will say. You had a cache of semi-automatic weapons with thousands of rounds. That is what the media will portray. Or you had a stockpile of ammunition, thousands of rounds. That's what will come out. So now Ian goes, whoa, I got 2 pistols. Which no, you're clearly a crazy man ready to go off and shoot up everybody and kill people with your cache of semi-automatic weapons and thousands of rounds. That's what will come out. And now you're the bad guy you targeted. How are you going to defend yourself? How are you going to defend yourself against a jury who knows nothing about guns and has no idea what's going on? And all they hear is cache and thousands of semi-automatic weapons and thousands of rounds. Clearly, you're a crazy man ready to kill everybody. Away you go, unless you happen to have several $100,000 to defend yourself with good lawyers. Then you might not go away. You still might go away, but you might not. In which case, you're probably going to just go, you know what? I'll plea bargain, do a couple of years, and lose your right to have any firearms. And that is how it begins to work. Incremental, again and again and again. It keeps happening. So anyway, sorry, a little bad on that one. I apologize. But yes, keep going down here. All right. Paula goes, Japan has some very strict laws regarding the possession of carrying of weapons of any kind for citizens. Yes, correct. This includes samurai sword. I told you. You guys thought I was joking. They literally have sword control in Japan. Paula, thank you for backing me up on this. I wasn't making that up. I've lived in Japan. They literally have sword control. That's a thing in Japan. We can't imagine that. It's coming. Common sense knife control. That's coming. This includes samurai swords and katanas, even if they're replicas. This law is called the Japanese Firearm and Sword Possession Control Law, and has helped Japan cut down on violent crime tremendously, with the exception of them shooting their prime minister. But yes, correct. Yes, there we go. So thank you for that, Paul. I appreciate that. So, all right. Danny says, like how butter knives are regulated in the UK. The UK has knife control. You're right, Danny. The UK has knife control. Absolutely. 100%. So Lyndon says, keep your eye on Hoover in Florida, court case attacking the whole of the NFA. Now, look, here's my worry about that, Lyndon. The National Firearm Act. Is that I know National Firearms Act, is that right? Or is it Firearm Control Act? I forgot. Anyway, whichever one that one is. But yes, that's a big deal. Like if that goes, what's that, 1913? I forgot the year on that one. I'm sure someone will help me. I think 13. Is that right? Early 1900s, whatever it is. It's early 1900s when that happened. If the NFA goes away, my worry is, again, states like New York and California will make stricter laws. Most people don't even know what the NFA is. I'm in this world and I can't remember the year, and whether it's firearm control or firearm safety or firearms, I don't remember which one that is. And I'm in this. The average person has no idea what the NFA is. We have to change that culture so that people even know what that is and why it matters. Now I got to remember what it is. I'm sure someone will tell me. I forgot which one it is, but thank you. Yes. So, all right. Let's see here. Tom says the DA should be recalled. Don't know if he can be fired or impeached in New York. And you know what? You bring up a very important piece, Tom. The Republican now in New York is going, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fire the bad DAs. This is a terrible idea. I know some of you in New York are like, what? It's a great idea. Fire all these bad. No, terrible idea. You do not want the governor to have the power to decide who your DA is. What we want is what Tom's saying. Tom, you are correct, my friend. We need to have local people recall. California does that. I don't want the governor deciding who my DA is. I want the local people to be policed how they want to be policed. You should be able to recall your DA. The governor should not, because what happens when you get the wrong governor in? And the governor goes, "Oh, you got a hardcore DA? Nope. Let's put a soft on crime DA in your county. You'd be happy with that? No, you're not. So recall. Talk about guns, talk about recoil. Recall. Yes, Tom, you are correct. But we do not want the governor having the control to be fired. To fire DA. That's a terrible idea. Local people should be able to recall their DAs. You should be policed as you want to be policed. You should be policed how the governor decides. Because then again, libertarian answer, right? The Republican answer is lock everybody up. Democrat answer is let everybody out. The libertarian answer is you do you. You should be happy with your police force as you see fit. That's the right answer. So, Tom, you're exactly correct. I love that. Then he goes on to say self-defense is basically illegal in New York State. Yes. That's correct. Yes. I wish you were wrong. But yes. Ian says technically it should be manslaughter if it's not self-defense. Ian, I agree with you. However, he was charged with second-degree murder. That's what the DA decided to charge him with. So I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's what he was charged with. He was charged with second-degree murder. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. William says, yeah, New York is also a no-fault driving state. If you are stopped at a red light or stop sign and are re-ended, the victim has to have... Yes, that part is terrible, right? Because, yeah, that just makes lawsuits worse, William. You're exactly correct. It makes lawsuits worse. Absolutely. Dan says, this is what I like about your show, Larry. You're explaining what Democrats would ultimately put in place if they were to get a hold of my state over the course of many years. Yes, Dan. Thank you. Yes, I am saying exactly that. Which is why if you can see it, if you can stop it here, it doesn't come to you. But at least then if you're watching it here, you can see it coming to your state and stop it there. No. I saw this in New York. I was watching Larry Sharpe. He showed me what you're trying to do. Nope. And you can stop it now. Absolutely. Yes. So Daniel says, but cops can kill people easy. Guy in Rochester was just walking towards the cops with a knife in hand, clearly having a mental suicide episode. He is surrounded by at least 4 officers. Guy keeps walking towards. After minutes, shoots him in the chest 4 times. 4 cops with body armor had to kill a man over a knife. Could him in the knee, no charges. Well, look, I'm not someone who's always defending cops. I think cops are human beings like anybody else. And some people on this who watch this hate cops. Some people who watch this back the blue no matter what. I'm neither of those two. I think cops are human beings. There's good cops and bad cops. The system has to be better to make better cops. Could I give a cop a benefit of the doubt if someone's coming at him with a knife? Yeah, I can give a cop benefit of the doubt. But to your point, what cops do too often is 4 guys all firing. There could have been better training, is what I would say. But look, if a guy's coming with a knife, my problem is when a guy's running away and they shoot him. He's running away. And you're shooting him 20 times, 10 times, 30 times, 60 times, and he's running away, I got a problem with that. Guy coming at you with a knife. I'm just saying, Daniel, I'm happy to give a cop a benefit of doubt. A guy's coming at him with a knife. Regardless of I'll give benefit of doubt. Guy running away, and you put 60 bullets in him, no benefit of doubt in that one. No. This one, yes. Benefit of doubt. I'm okay to do that. So, yes. James says, I will defend myself, my family, and friends by all means necessary. Strangers in a life-threatening situation as well. I will not comply. And I'm asking my county sheriff to refuse compliance also. Yes, and yes. Yes, and this is the difference, and this is the part that some people just don't want to understand. Different people in different areas think differently. When it comes to places like New York City, there are a lot of people who are transient here. This city is hugely transient. People come in, they leave, they stay for 3 weeks, they go home, they stay for 5 years, they go home, they stay for 30 years. Some people are born here and leave. We're all over the place. Many people are not connected to their community as much as people say in many parts who are not urban areas. Right? Some people are, but many more are more connected in non-urban areas. You feel closer to the people around you. You feel closer to your community. And to James, to your point, you want to defend it. Yes. So who am I, some guy who lives in the city, to tell you that you can't defend your county or your town or your family and friends? I have no right to say that. Even if I think you should or shouldn't. So what? That's not true. I can say it if I want to. I think you should just let them kill you. I could say that if I want to, but I have no right to stop you. I have an opinion, First Amendment, I can say what I want, and you can ignore me if you want to. No worries. And we miss this key piece. And there are people, look, I've heard people say it. They literally say, you know what? I saw someone talking just recently. Was it yesterday? Someone literally saying that if they're rioting in your town, just walk away, let them riot. That's what this guy believes. He believes violence is not appropriate ever. Okay, if it's your town, your house, you want to let somebody burn your house down, okay, it's your house. I think that's crazy, but that's me, and I can say that if I want to. But if you are that against violence, you'd rather let somebody burn your house down, I hope you can buy into the house. That's all I can tell you. So yes, thank you for that. I appreciate that. You're clear. You're clear on that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes. So let's see here. William says, I love my neighbors in New York. I do not like my taxes and fees and being taught to be corrupt. Oh, yes. William, home run. You are right. You are taught in New York to be corrupt. That's how you're able to move forward. 100%. Josh says, hit that like button, guys. Help Larry get his message out. I agree. Please do that, guys. Please like, comment, and share. It does matter tremendously. And of course, if you can donate, please donate. Every bit counts. LarrySharpe.com/donate so I can get around the state. And if you can go shopping, pick up a cool shirt, LarrySharpe.com/shop. Of course, join my Discord. Those of you on Discord, that's awesome. And support my sponsors, World's Smallest Political Quiz. Click that link if you can specifically. Share that other places. Let people know. Libertarian answer is a pretty good answer. So I'm saying it's a pretty good answer. It's coming up with real answers. And I like that. So yes. So Danny says she wanted him to defend her honor. He did and died over it. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, 100%. Let's see. Lesandro Guzman Feliz article, who was killed by getting dragged out of the bodega. The bodega owner was getting criticized for not helping the kid. The bodega owner was blamed for not helping the kid. Yeah, I see that a lot. And I wish we had a better environment where that's the norm, that people would actually help each other, that people would defend each other, and that they wouldn't be getting sued. They wouldn't, get hurt. That they wouldn't, all those things. Wouldn't get arrested. He continues, if the bodega did try to help, it's either he gets killed by the gang or gets arrested by the police. Yes. The innocent get punished for helping to defend yourself or others. Yes, yes, and yes. You are correct. This is what I'm trying to change. Absolutely. John says, just bought a car magnet and shirt, Larry. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that tremendously. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Christine says the J6 prisoners are being held without due process. Agreed. Agreed. Why are they being held? Why are they being held? For what? I don't get it. Yes. Kendall says, I saw a Larry Sharpe sign today in Rochester. Sadly, still seeing a lot of Zeldin signs. Yeah, no. Look, Zeldin's spending a lot of money on his signs. It's nice. Here's the reality, guys. For those of you who don't know this, right, to really understand this. When it comes to signs in the major two parties, Democrat, Republican, the signs mean nothing. Signs, if you're a Democrat, you don't see a Zeldin sign and go, wow, maybe I should vote Republican. Doesn't happen. If you're a Republican, you don't see a Democrat sign and go, wow, maybe I should vote Hochul. That does not happen. But when you're a third party like I am, signs are critical because signs validate you. If you're a third party, they validate me. They make me valid. They make me real. My sign, you noticed my sign. Yes, it makes me real. When a sign is up, I go, oh, that guy's real. Huh. Signs matter when you're a third party. When you're the two major parties, no one's mind is changed by that. So yeah, no, that's clear. So yes. So all right. See if I can grab here a couple of these. Yes, so many. I do appreciate these. So many. I do appreciate that. Nooner clips. Larry, how as a libertarian do you feel about paid maternity leave? It astonishes me that these woke companies have no problem subsidizing abortions. I support rebuilding the nuclear family unit. Well, look, the reality of it is the problem. I have no problem with individuals wanting to help, whatever the case may be, someone having a family and having paid maternity leave. Not against the idea at all. I think it's wonderful. My problem is twofold. If we as a government are saying we should pay for it, if that's what we're saying, if we're saying that as a culture, that's what we pay for, that's a benefit that we pay people, then why do companies have to pay for it? That makes any sense, right? When you start forcing companies to pay for it, you're punishing the little guy, right? If we believe it's true, then the government should pay for it if we believe it's true. I'm not saying that, but then that makes sense at least. Or we should allow companies to use it as a very good, valuable tool to get people to show up and to work for them, a benefit they want to give. I'm not against paid maternity leave. I'm against the government forcing small companies to do it. That destroys them. And here's why it matters to small companies. When it comes to larger companies, where you have hundreds and hundreds of employees, if you lose one person for maternity leave and you pay their salary, you have so much money coming in and so many other people, you can easily absorb that loss or move on. What happens when you have 3 or 4 employees and someone says you got to give me paid maternity leave? Well, that one person leaving is often devastating. It's hard for you. So you have to pay that person who was away and hire a replacement and train them. So you lose money from you or your other employees while you train the new employee. That employee now has to be on the maternity leave. And often, as you know this, look, I have kids. Sometimes people don't come back or they stay longer. So now how do I then keep the other person longer? What if I said, I'm going to have this person here for 6 months while Jane is on maternity leave? Well, Jane says, I'm going to go 9 months. That person can't stay for 9 months. They only have a 6-month agreement. They leave. I'm retraining someone else, paying more money. If I'm a small business, that can be devastating to me. So I'm not against paid maternity leave. I think it's awesome. You should give it if you want to. I love it. But when you begin to make a world to where every small business has to do it, and that's the future, they want to make it measurable for even small businesses, it'll make being a small business even more impossible. It won't work unless the government just pays it out of its own pocket and just writes checks like it always does and just prints more money. Then the government will just print more money and give it to people. That's fine then, because then the small business isn't paying for it. So if that makes any sense, I hope that was clear. So, all right. Brian says, people crushed by laws have no hope but to evade power. If the laws are their enemy, they will be enemies to the law. Oh, look at that. And those who the most to hope and nothing to lose will always be dangerous. Brian, you got some good quotes, man. That's Edmund Burke. Nicely done. Nicely done. Very good. All right. Let's see. James, will current pistol permit holders have to do all that every time they renew? That's my assumption, James. They will change this and make this work. I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to be the thing. Yes. I think that is the thing. All right. Ian says, I get crap from both sides, like many libertarians and anarchists I know. That's true. Yes, absolutely. Let's see here. Joel says 9mm will blow a lung balloon out of the body. I remember that story. I've never seen it happen, but that's okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, absolutely. So that's funny. I do like that. Kevin says, recall. Yes, yes, and yes. You should have a right to recall your DA if you want to. In fact, you have a right to recall everybody if you want to. I think local people should have the ability to recall. I do not want a governor deciding how your DA acts. That's the wrong answer. Governor should not have that power. You should have that power. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. Kevin goes on, what's the difference between a libertarian and an anarchist? I think as a general rule, you have to realize that an anarchist is a type of libertarian. Libertarian is more overarching, it's a more overarching word. Lots of people who are minarchists, anarchists, ANCAPs, whatever, could all be considered libertarians. And some people are what we call small L libertarians. I mean, they're not really part of the party. They're kind of part of the movement, a little bit different. I think that's really what it is. So, yes, I hope that's clear. So, yeah, anarchists tend to be people who think who want no government, Some people are libertarians just are minarchists who say we want the smallest government possible. They're still libertarians. Just they disagree on how far to go. That's the issue. So yes. John says, Larry, my daughter and I are actively discussing the issues you're talking about and having great conversations. Thank you. Oh, you made my night. Thank you for that. You made my night. That is awesome. Thank you. That's good. Oh, so good. Thank you, John. I really do appreciate that a lot. Yes. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's see if I can go down here. Larry, licensed instructors can legally train people without a pistol permit. Oh, is that right? I thought that in New York State, you weren't allowed to have them live fire. I thought that was correct, but if that's changed, I'm happy with that. Oh, if I'm maybe I could be misinformed. I was under the impression that you cannot live fire in New York State unless you have a pistol permit. You can do training, but it can't be live fire training is what I was under the impression. I hope I'm wrong, or it's changed. I hope I'm either misinformed or it's changed, because I think you should be able to. But from what I remember, you couldn't do live fire training in New York State unless you had a permit. So that meant you have to go outside the state to get live fire training. But you could do non-live fire training in New York State. That's what I thought I remember. So thank you for that clarity, Jimmy. I hope that, thank you for that. I just thought that was the issue. So yes. So, all righty, let's see here if I can grab this real fast. Denny says, anarchy is no rules, no government. Libertarianism allows for super decentralized and small regular government. Yeah, capital L libertarianism does. Obviously, capital L libertarianism means you are running in a party, right? So, yes, that's the issue. So, again, always, guys, if you can help me out, please like, comment, share. It does matter. If you can donate, please donate. It helps me tremendously if you can. As always, if you want to shop, pick up a shirt or magnet or a sign, please go there. You might go, Larry, some of that stuff's expensive. It is, because you're not just buying the sign. You're also making a donation to the campaign. So thank you for us moving forward. We are rocking and rolling. We should know a whole lot more in about 3 weeks, about 2 weeks. We should know a whole lot more what's happening, how we're making this move forward. Thank you for all of your support, guys. I really appreciate it. I will see you all